Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
8:37 on WMAL. Brian Eamon, Brian Wilson with you. Talked a lot about the Ryan budget yesterday. Let me just say one more thing on the Trayvon Martin case, and we'll take your calls afterwards. Is that when you can use the deadly force, and if Martin and Zimmerman were in a fight, and they were in a fist fight, and if you're ever in a fist fight, is it then okay to use deadly force in a fist fight? And that's what I just keep going back to. Whether or not there was ever a need for deadly force, if you felt your life was in danger, if you felt there was bodily harm or imminent death in that case. And to me, it's a stretch to say that you ever were in that position to be able to use deadly force if Martin didn't himself have a gun.
I wasn't there.
It didn't have a knife. So that's where I am on. All right, Chris Van Hollen's on the phone, congressman from Montgomery County, Democrat, on the Budget Committee. Good morning, Congressman Van Hollen. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Good to be with you guys.
So Paul Ryan put out a budget proposal the other day for the Republicans, and it slashes big-time spending in Washington, D.C., something like $5 trillion, a huge change, I think, in what we would consider to be the future of Medicare, allowing a voucher system for those who are under age of 55 if they want. It also would slash tax rates. There would be two rates, 10 and 25, instead of the 6 that we have right now. It would also lower the corporate tax rate to 25%. I'm guessing you're not a big fan of this proposal from Paul Ryan, and if so, why is it such a terrible idea?
Well, it's a terrible idea because it takes a totally unbalanced approach to dealing with our deficit, and because he does it that way, he asks for huge sacrifices from our senior citizens, from middle-income taxpayers, as well as deep cuts in things like education and transportation, investments that are important to our international competitiveness.
Right. Let me ask you this, though. How is it a huge sacrifice for senior citizens if those over 55, it wouldn't change Medicare one bit? I mean, how is it a big deal for them?
Well, first of all, if you're a senior now, it does immediately do things like reopen the donut hole that was fixed in the prescription drug program. So there are lots of seniors who rely on their prescription drugs. One of the things we did in the Affordable Care Act was to close this donut hole where they could no longer afford their prescription medicines. They, in their budget, reopen it. They also eliminate some of the preventive care services immediately for folks on Medicare. And as you say, in the longer term, they're going to begin transferring the rising costs of health care onto seniors through a voucher program where the voucher will not keep pace with the rising health care costs. And my point is that the reason they have to do so much on the cutting side is because they do nothing on the revenue side. They don't close any tax loopholes. They don't eliminate the subsidies for the oil and gas industry, and they don't ask folks at the very high end of the income scale to go back to paying the same rates they were during the Clinton administration. And so if you don't ask for shared responsibility, it means you're taking it out in terms of cuts on seniors and on middle-income taxpayers.
Today, the president is going to be in Cushing, Oklahoma. He's going to be talking about the need to build the second part of the pipeline that would sort of relieve a bottleneck, but would not actually bring any new oil into this country. I note that you're the vice chairman of the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Caucus, so I assume that you're in sync with the president on his desire to grow solar, wind, biofuels, that sort of thing, correct?
Well, that's right. I mean, I agree with the president that we should pursue all different sources of energy. We certainly do need to encourage more investment in clean energy. After all, the sun shines here in the United States, the wind blows in the United States, and so to the extent that we can harness those energy sources, we reduce our reliance on foreign oil.
Well, the president's going to make the case, Congressman, that he's done everything that he could do to keep gas prices low and that he has pursued additional drilling in this country. Do you believe that the evidence all the facts and evidence right now suggest that is indeed true?
That the president has pursued all the alternatives?
That he has done as much as he can do to also keep oil coming through the pipeline?
Oh, I do. I think if you look at the statistics, oil production in the United States is at a close to 8 to 10 year high. We are importing less oil today than we were a decade ago.
Is that because of any of the policies put forth by the Obama administration?
Or is that, in fact, because that the policies of the previous two administrations have set that in motion?
Well, it's both, in fact. I mean, the president has opened up more areas to drilling. The president has also encouraged more domestic energy production. But the president's also said we need to encourage the development of these other energy sources, because over time, if we're reliant entirely on oil and gas, we will see prices go up and up and up as those sources of energy decline over time and demand for them increases over time. And so I think he's tried to diversify our energy sources, which I think is the right approach.
How concerned are Democrats about the gas issue? I mean, one hears that when you look at the polling on this, that it is the one thing that people are concerned about, and that the administration, in many people's opinion, and it's just their opinion, but their opinion is that they don't feel that the Obama administration has done enough in that area.
Well, as I listen to experts, frankly, from all sides of the aisle, they point out that the domestic oil prices are linked to the international market, and there are all sorts of factors totally beyond the control of the president or the Congress, frankly, with respect to the price. Now, the one thing you could do in the short term that would impact gas prices is, one, try to pop the speculative bubble, because some component of the price has to do with people just betting on the direction of the price in the futures market. And we do need to have a cop on the beat and crack down on people who are trying to manipulate the market, number one. Number two, given the international events that are helping to drive up the cost of oil and gas, I believe the president should release some of the oil from the Strategic Petroleum Industry.
Is it a national emergency?
The speculative bubble that is an important part of the...
But you're supposed to do that when it's a national emergency. Have we reached that point yet in your mind?
I'm sorry?
You're only supposed to do that when there's a national security concern or a national emergency. Have we reached that point? Is it at that point now that we need to go to the strategic reserve?
If you look at the past, for example, during the operations in Libya, it was used. It was been used by President Bush when there are other international events that have been sort of driving up spikes in speculation in prices. I believe that given the situation in the Persian Gulf and the fact that that is helping feed a speculative bubble, that it's an appropriate time to release.
Do you expect the president to do that today?
And that's one thing you can do to help the price of the gas. And frankly, the taxpayer makes money because you sell oil. The taxpayer's oil on the market at a time when price is high. It's good for the taxpayer and reduces the deficit.
President Obama did that not too long ago, and the prices, I guess, were the same. Maybe they went down a little bit, and several months later, we're at $4 a gallon. So even if it helps, say it helps by 10 cents, so then instead of paying $3.90, we'll be paying $3.80, and then 6 months down the road, we're back in the same boat. I mean, that's not a real answer, is it?
Well, what it does is, as I say, pop the speculative bubble. There was a bubble at that time, and as you indicated, it stopped the rise in gas prices.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was the only reason it did.
There's no doubt. That's not, as I said, it's the one immediate thing you can do to try and bring down gas prices.
Are you suggesting, Congressman,
that... It's not a long-term solution.
Right.
The long-term solution is to diversify our energy sources.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but are you suggesting that we may hear this from the administration? I mean, I assume you're connected on the inside thoughts of the Obama administration. Are you expecting this to happen?
I'm not sure what decision the administration and the president will make on this. I'm sure they're looking at all the alternatives right now, and they're paying very close attention to the international situation and the impact that's having on gas prices. What decision they ultimately make on this, I don't know.
All right, we're out of time. Congressman Van Halen, good to have you on. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.